If you need a boost of confidence today, listen in. I'm Kelly Wilkness here with Anita Joyce, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks, Choosing Paint Colors with Confidence. Now, we know choosing paint colors throws a lot of people into a tailspin. And, really, there's good reason. There's so many paint colors and there's so many variables. So today we're going to cover all of that so you can choose your paint colors with confidence. Because knowledge equals confidence in so many cases. So the more information you have as to how to approach choosing paint colors, the more confident you're going to feel. And before we get going today, we wanted to let you know that we have a very special offer on our consults, which you can talk about paint colors, you can cry about paint colors, you can complain about paint colors, or anything else, any design dilemmas or decorating questions that you have. You can talk with Anita and I for 45 minutes on the phone. We absolutely love doing this, and it's usually more than 45 minutes because we enjoy talking to everyone so much. So if you would like to sign up for a design consult with us, you're going to email us at decoratingtipsandtricks@gmail.com. And please use the subject line consult DTT 75. So it'd be $75 for 45 minutes of our time talking with you, and the prep time that goes into getting ready for that call is included as well. So you would send us your design dilemma or question and photos of the space or photos of the items that you're considering and that you want to talk about. We'll do our homework on that, and we will set a time and date to speak with you individually. And we're really looking forward to speaking with you. So if you'd like to sign up, again, go to decoratingtipsandtricks@gmail.com and use consult DTT 75 or 75 DT in the subject line so we know that you're referring to the consult. So again, knowledge equals confidence in the realm of choosing paint colors, as it does in so much else of life. The other thing that I think happens is that people they feel like a gun is being held to their head when they have to pick out the paint colors. It just seems to happen. I don't really know why. It can be that you just decide, we're going to paint this weekend. It has to be this weekend. Or you have a contractor and the contractor says, I need the color by tomorrow. I don't know why it all sort of sneaks up on everyone, or why the contractors wait until the day before to tell you that they need the color, but they seem to. And that really adds an element of stress that you want to remove from choosing the paint colors. So you want to get ahead of this. If you are deciding that, this is the best weekend to paint, but you don't have your colors selected yet, it is not the best weekend to paint. And you should not paint this coming weekend. You need some time to pick the colors. And if your contractor is saying to you, hey, look, lady, we're ready now. We got done faster than we thought with the sheetrock and whatnot. We're ready to paint now. I need the color tomorrow for the walls and the trim and the ceiling. And what do you want to do about the doors and all of that? And you're like, oh, and you run out to the nearest paint shop and you're grabbing these little swatches and chips, and that is not the way to pick out your paint color.
No, and I think the reason it's so darn difficult is that the choices are infinite. You can get any color, any shade, any undertone. You can get it lighter, darker. And when there's too many choices, it's almost like there are no choices. And I've read some studies recently about how the more choices there are, the more difficult it is for people to make decisions. So I think that is really a key factor. The other key factor I think that makes this difficult is that people are worried about making a mistake. And I know people say it's just paint, but if you're paying a painter, it's not just paint. And if you're doing it yourself, your time is so valuable and people have so little free time that you really do not want to be making a mistake. And paint has gotten so expensive. So I think it's really critical to get this Right. So I understand why people are afraid of making this decision. And I think it's important for us to talk through this process. And I like to start with kind of starting with a Pinterest board of inspiration. And this can be a room where I really like the way the wall color looks in the room, or it could be a picture of something where I just love the color of it. Maybe it's a pillow, maybe it's a car or a flower, but something that just inspires me, or fabric. A lot of times it's a fabric where I'm going to say, I love this fabric so much. I want to pull out one of the colors in this fabric to go on the wall. So I think that's a good place to start. And if you can start with that Pinterest board, that's really going to give you a starting point before you even go look at paint colors. I think that's a nice place to start, Kelly.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And I think that's going to take some time, right? So you need to prepare, and sure, use the Pinterest board, pull out a color that you really love, grab a fabric, things, you need to start somewhere with your colors. And so, or your neutrals, whatever you're using. So that's a great place to start. And what is the vibe that you want in the room? All these things should be taken into consideration. You also want to take into consideration where the room is placed in your house. Is it a north-facing room? Is it south, east, or west? That's really going to affect the way the light is going to work with the paint color, bringing out certain undertones and all of that. So all these things have to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, and that's interesting you say about the direction, because I used to think that was a bunch of poppycock, and it really isn't, because
what did you just say?
poppycock, something like that. Anyway, a bunch of hooey. But what I found was when I painted one room a particular yellow color back in my Tuscan phase, and then I tried the same color on the other side of the room, it worked great in the north-facing room, but in the south-facing room, it was way too warm, and it ended up looking too brown. So it was a big difference on how it played out. So part of it probably had to do with how much light was coming through the windows, but also the direction the light was coming from. So it really is true. Just because a color works in one room or it works in the showroom does not mean it's going to work in another room. So you really do need to be mindful of that.
Yes. And here's another thing. Just because it works in your friend's house, it doesn't mean it's going to work in your house.
No, but that's true. However, I think that's a great place to get some inspiration and to kind of go, I like this. I think something like this might be great in my house. So it's a nice starting point or a jumping off place.
Sure. Like all these things that you're saying, the fabric, the Pinterest board, things out of magazines, a toss pillow, whatever. Yes, it's a good starting point, but I don't want someone to be like, oh, under the gun, like we started talking about in the beginning. Oh, we're going to paint this weekend. Oh, well, my friend Sophie down the blocks uses, fossil or what have you, and, leave a blank, insert color. And so I'm just going to go with that. Because it's easier, because I think, like you're saying, it's so overwhelming. There are so many choices where people just sort of like, they default to either something they've used in the past, whether it be the same, stick with the same, or a color that they used in a prior home that they own someplace else, or a friend's color, or like the color du jour that you see all over the place. Like if you look around at the blogs and whatnot, oftentimes there's like the same handful of whites pop up and the same handful of these colors pop up. There's just a world of colors out there and a world of different brands. So it really is a lot to take in. So we understand the overwhelming feeling, but after you listen to today's episode, you're not going to have that feeling when you're confronted with choosing a paint color, because you're going to have the knowledge and therefore the confidence to make the right choices.
Mm-hmm. Right. So as you're putting this Pinterest board together, I think what you're going to want to think about are what colors are you drawn to? I like to think about what kind of colors the person likes to wear. And sometimes that's a hint as to what might be a nice wall color for that person. So think about what colors you like to wear. What kind of colors do you have in the fabrics in your home? And as you're thinking about these colors, also think about how certain colors evoke certain emotions or I guess what I'm trying to talk about here there are warm colors and cool colors. So you want to think about, as you're looking at colors, think about, is it a warm tone? Is it a cool tone? And the warm tones, we've talked about these before, but this is just so I won't go into detail, but a warm tone would be something that reminds you of fire. Maybe it has a red or yellow undertone, whereas a cool color would remind you of the ocean, the sea, the sky. So that would have the blue and the green undertones. So that's kind of something to keep in mind, is which one of these, when you're looking at colors, to kind of ask yourself, which is it? Cool. Is this a cool color or a warm color? And to also kind of ask yourself, which color do you want in your room? So I think, and then another thing that I really want you to think about is, do you want a light, airy room, or do you want a cozy, dramatic room? Because, and to me, this is a really critical question to ask, because this is really going to tell you whether you want a very light color or a very dark, rich color on the walls. And it's a very different look. So I think it's very much, it's either yes or no on that. It's either A or B. And so I think at some point early on, I think that's a good place for you to make that call as to which look you're going for.
Yeah. Good suggestion. So to my mind, you need to leave plenty of time to do your research. And so all the things that Anita was just saying, the things that I was saying, take your time. Don't let anyone pressure you. Hey, look, if you have to let the contractor go, contractors are always working on a couple of jobs at one time. That's how that whole industry works. So if it's just better for you to say, hey, Bob, the builder, whatever your name is, Bob, I need a week. I need 10 days. Go finish your other job. Go work someplace else and come back here on, Tuesday, the whatever, and I will be ready for you then. I'm not ready today. Don't be pressured. So take the time, do all of that research. And yes, understand that unless you're doing a primary color like a blue, red, or a yellow, every color you're going to choose has undertones. So if you understand the undertones and how they work, that's really going to enable you to choose the right color and give you confidence when you're looking at colors either in magazines or in the store, or actually when you do a test on your own wall.
Yeah, you really don't want to be surprised by those undertones. So you really want to know what they are in the colors that you're looking at.
Right. So as I was saying, all paints with the limited exception of the true primaries of red, blue, and yellow have undertones. So it's other colors that are mixed in. It depends on what that color is, what that lesser percent of color is, and how much of it, the percentage that's mixed in, is all going to affect what comes through and how impactful that undertone is. It could be very subtle, or it could really change the look. You could think that you have a gray, but really you have a baby blue.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
You could think that you have a beigey color, but really it looks sage green on the wall. So you really have to be careful with that. And if you understand the undertone and you understand how it's going to read on your wall, that's going to go a long way to helping you pick the right color. And when I say the word pick, that's a really important term to think of when you're considering undertones, because it's what it's picking up. Have you ever heard that term? Like, oh, if I put this swatch with this other swatch, it really picks up the color, the sort of the lesser color of that swatch or something like that. So undertones may not be readily apparent when you're just looking at the one paint sample, but when you pair it with either another paint sample or a fabric that you have in the room, or the color of your carpeting, the color of your wood, say you have a lot of wood in the room, or it's your kitchen and you have wooden cabinets, or the lighting conditions, all of these things can pick up the undertones in unexpected ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I think that's a very good point. And something else I wanted to talk about when we were talking about what kind of light is coming through, is it from the north or from the south? I also wanted to add, think about what time of day you normally use the room, because that's going to impact the quality of light. As you know, the light in the morning is different than the light in the evening or afternoon. So if you're kind of using a room in a particular time of day, or maybe you just kind of go in your bedroom after dark when you're going to bed, that's something really to keep in mind when you're looking at the paint color is what are the conditions going to be when you're in this room? And then if it's something you're in that room all day long, day in the morning, during the day and at night, then you'll want to look at it under all conditions. But that is something when you're looking at paint samples, you'll want to look at the paint samples under the lighting conditions that room will have when you're actually using that room.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't really thought about that, and it is good to look at it through the course of the day and how the light changes. But, that maybe that's more important for a room that you're in all different times of the day, like the kitchen. But yeah, you may not be in your bedroom because you're at work all day long. And you love the way this particular paint looks in the evening. That might then impact the choice that you make. A quick way, and not always completely foolproof because you have to take into consideration the things that are existing in the room. If you have pre-existing furniture or wood or whatnot in the room, but a quick way, it's kind of down and dirty, quick way to get a feel for the undertone of a particular color you want is to compare it to a true primary color. So say you're picking a blue, right? Compare it to a real true blue, like the primary blue that does not have any additional pigments in it, and see what your eye picks up. Does it tend to more purpley, to tend to more red? See how it looks compared to that. So you can do that with a paint chip, or if you have, a piece of fabric that you can see is like, oh, that's really a true red or a true blue. Just give that a whirl. It might give you some insights as to which way the color that you're choosing leans as far as the undertones.
Oh, that's a good point. And then you can look on the swatch, the paint sample. I'm trying to think what the color wheel, and you can look and see all the way to the end, the darkest version of that color.
Right.
And that's when you can really tell what the undertone is more than when you're looking at the lighter version. So I think that's very helpful.
When you're saying like the paint chips, sometimes they have like the graduated colors.
Yes.
Those are great. And then, that seemed to be the way paint chips were for so long. And then we kind of got into the little squares where it's just the color on its own.
Yeah.
Which I think is harder to tell.
It is.
If you're picking those up either in a fan deck where they're all sort of attached with, like a little metal circle or something like that, so you can spread them all out. Usually they have them in the graduated order. But they may not. It may just be like all the blues are grouped together and the whites are grouped together. If you're looking at them in a store, whether it be Home Depot or a particular paint store, oftentimes if they're the individual chips that only have the one color on them, they'll have them, set up in their display where they're graduated. So you can go from one to the next and you can see what the progression is.
And I have a particular suggestion on how to narrow them down. Do you want me to mention that now? Or
yeah,
wait?
Sure. Go ahead.
So I would say once you've done all this research that we've been talking about, then you're going to go, it's at that point, then you would go to the paint store and start collecting all of your samples of paint colors that you like. And they don't all have to be the same color. You could say, well, I was thinking about going with a soft green, but I really like this dark gray. I mean, just grab as many samples as appeal to you. And at this point, I feel like, the more the merrier. I don't see a problem with you grabbing 50 of them at this point. And then when you get those home though, then that's when we sort through them. So I like to maybe tape them on the wall or put them all on a table or something with a white background where you're not going to be, if you have a brown table, you don't want the brown kind of interacting with the color. So maybe put it on top of a white tablecloth, something like that. And then I would start two piles. So the first thing I would do is take your three favorite and move them to the left to your favorite pile. And then take your least three favorites, or the three that you like the least, and then they're going to go in a discard pile. And then I would keep whittling that down until I would suggest you want to end up with 6, because I think 6 is a magic number, and that 6 is a very manageable number for people to make decisions based on. So I think that once you get down to 6, that's when I would be going and getting your sample paint pots to paint to look at. So that's kind of my thought there. I mean, did you have any other techniques that you use?
No, I like that idea a lot. Another thing that I really like is that you can now get large samples.
Yes.
There's a company called Sampleize, and I'm looking at them right now, and they will send you for $5.95 a 12 by 12 of pretty much any color that you can come up with.
So it's already painted on a piece of cardboard or something? Oh, nice.
Real paint. It's repositionable, non-damaging, adhesive backing.
I love that.
Right, for viewing in multiple locations and different lighting. So you can, okay, what does it look like at this side of the room? And what does it look, because sometimes even paint, particularly in a north-facing room, if the north-facing room has a window, it might look different when it's closer to the light in the window than it does on the other side. Mm-hmm. You guys know how I love Simply White, and I have it painted in my bedroom, but that's my least favorite room with it. And I may be painting my bedroom a different color. It's a north-facing room, and I just don't think that the Simply White is such a lovely creamy white, and it just doesn't do much for it. It's fine, but it's not. Simply White almost has a bit of an inner glow to it. It's a beautiful paint, a beautiful color, and Benjamin Moore has a lot of different gradations of the types of paint. So I think I use the Aurora, and it really does it's almost like it glows from within when the sun is shining, which is in a lot of the rooms in my house, but not in my bedroom, and except for maybe like 45 minutes in the late afternoon, we get some great sun in there. And then the color looks like it does in the rest of the house. Otherwise, it's a very dark room. And so, the white looks fine, but it's not wowing me. So I'm thinking of changing it and just like going with the whole darker look, because it's a north-facing
that would
room.
Be fun.
Yeah. So that's why I'm toying with maybe that Metropolitan. So actually, while I was getting ready for this episode, I ordered myself a 12 by 12 of the Benjamin Moore Metropolitan from Sampleize. Sampleize. So we'll put the link to Sampleize in the show notes. I don't know. I can't remember if there was shipping. I don't think there was.
Well, I love this idea because I feel like you need it on a board or something. I mean, I guess the point is I don't think people should be painting actually on their wall, because then what if for some reason you're not able to do the paint job for 6 months or a year? You're stuck with that paint sample on your wall. Who wants to be looking at that for a year?
Right.
So I've got an issue with that. Plus, I feel like you really want to be able to move that sample around and look at it behind this chair and with this pillow and with this light on this wall over here. So this would be, the Sampleize is perfect, and you're not having to get out a paintbrush yourself. What a great idea. I love this.
Yes, it's great. And then when you pick a color, so you sort of pop it in there and you search your color, and then they'll say on the bottom, compare with, and then there's maybe 10 to 12 other colors that are sort of in the similar family that maybe you didn't hear of. So you could have a look at those too. So it's helpful. I think it's a great site. They are not sponsors of Decorating Tips and Tricks, but shucks, I think they should be, Anita. So
I know, because I can see a lot of value with these. I mean, I'm going to be using these next time.
Yeah. And, hey, if you ordered enough of them, you could just paper your entire room and forget the painter. Then you can peel it off when you're done.
I mean, we really didn't talk about neutral versus colors. Mm-hmm. Should we talk about that for a minute?
Sure.
Well, I think we talk about using neutrals a lot because they're so flexible. You can change your colors in your room. It's something that's going to work probably for a new owner if you were to sell your house. So just keep that in mind. I mean, we are for doing what works for you. So if you know you're going to be in the house for a while, I think, and you want to be kind of wild and crazy with your color, I think you can. But if you don't have money to repaint and you're going to be selling sometime soon, I would definitely go with a neutral so you don't have to repaint the room. So that's just really something to keep in mind. But if it's something that, neutrals are just not your thing, then, don't feel bound to use those.
Yeah. And, with the confidence, maybe you think, oh, I have to have a neutral. So I'm a little afraid of this. But the more confidence you get with respect to paint in and of itself and choosing it for your own home, maybe that'll allow you to get a little bold. Maybe you'll be doing something in a hail navy, which is the most spectacular navy.
Oh, yes. It is.
That's also a Ben Moore one. So, maybe you try something that seemed a little too crazy for you, but with the knowledge and the confidence, why not? Because yes, it takes a lot of time and it takes money if you're paying someone else, and the paint itself is not inexpensive. It's 50, sometimes 40, 50, 60, sometimes it's $85, $125 for a gallon of paint, depending on what you're choosing. So you don't want to make these mistakes, but if you do, it's okay. It can be painted over. As Anita did that one time, you can just move. You don't have to live there anymore.
And now there is another technology that you can utilize. Sherwin-Williams does have an app called Snap It, where you can try a color on. But it's not as easy as it sounds. When I've tried this on the exterior of my house, you kind of have to select particular areas to apply that paint color to. Yeah. And so sometimes it's very involved. You maybe have to go around a tree that's in front of your house if it's an exterior color, or if it's an interior room, you're going to have to go around the furniture in the room. So it's not perfect, but it's certainly something that if you're really into technology, you might enjoy that if you have some time to select those areas. So that's helpful. I think it is helpful.
And I would almost say like those kinds of things, that technology has not, the idea is great, but I don't think the actual technology vis-a-vis translating the color has gotten there yet. And it really depends on your computer and if you're doing it on your phone and all of these things. There's, again, adding a lot of variables. I like it as a tool. And I would say maybe, we do that, to my mind, you do that in the sort of the research, the looking around portion. When you really want it, you get down and dirty and you're ready to start sampling it. You've got these paint pots, or you're doing these sampleized large, adhesive samples. You really want to see it on the wall for reals.
Right. The Snap It, I think, is a nice visualization app. However, it in no way replaces seeing the paint in the room, because you do not know what the light is going to do to the color in the room.
Right. Yeah.
So it can really change things up.
But a great thing to know about. And I guess we can put the link of that in the show notes as well. So you definitely really have to try it in your home to grasp the color itself, the undertones for sure. Because, here's what is something, you may not have considered. Not only, as we're saying, the existing furnishings, the flooring, the wood of cabinetry or whatnot, but even the outside can affect the color. If you've got a lot of foliage outside, or, or you live in a place that's particularly gloomy a lot of the year, that's going to affect the color. That's going to pull out different undertones. If you've got a white and you've got a lot of foliage, a big tree right outside the window, it could cast green.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we've seen that happen for sure.
So lots and lots to take into
or if you're
consideration.
in the heart of the city like you and I are, I've got two houses smashed up next to me. And so that paint color of the house next door kind of impacts the color of the light coming in my house.
Yeah. And I'm sort of surrounded by blue houses. And you know how I feel about that?
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I never really considered that the blue house might be affecting me, but it might be.
You may have to pull that shade down.
And so now we're getting to the point where, okay, we've given ourselves plenty of time. We've done a lot of research. We've done our homework. In fact, we're not going to let anybody force us into choosing a color at gunpoint. we're now understanding the undertones and we're trying to figure out what are the undertones in the colors that you like. You've narrowed it down like Anita suggested. So you've got some samples to either stick on the wall and try, or you've got some samples you're going to paint on the wall and try. Here's something else to keep in mind. You can have more than one color in a room, but I would suggest that your maximum is going to be 3 colors and that one of those should be a neutral to let your eye rest.
So how would you suggest they use the 3 colors in the room?
So you could do something like maybe you have the doors are a darker color and maybe your trim is neutral or a nice crispy white or something like that. And then maybe your walls are your sort of your main color, if you will. Or maybe you have something like I have, which is a picture rail high up on your ceiling. And in my living room, I have the Simply White on the most of the wall, the bottom part. And then that bit of the picture rail above that, I have the Stonington Gray. And so there, I'm using 2 colors there, but you could, if you wanted to have 3 colors, maybe you paint your fireplace around a different color. So, but I wouldn't go much more than 3 colors. And as I said, I would suggest that one of those is a neutral. Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. And if you're going to go bold, which why not? Life's too short. Go bold. I would suggest that you choose your bold color first and then choose the other colors, keeping that color in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're going to do this dark hail navy on something, then you're going to want to keep that color in mind and the undertones that will appear in that color when you're picking either the pop color or the neutral color or both of those.
Yeah, I just, I mean, hopefully this is sounding a little less painful walking through this. And then, if you're looking at these sample colors and none of these six are working, then you can go back to some that you discounted, or you could say, I really like this color, but I need it a little lighter or darker. Well, then it's so easy to go to the paint store and tell them, I need this a little bit lighter, or I need this just a little bit darker. And they do that all the time. So it's not a problem.
Yes. So you can do that. I did that in our other house. I loved this color, and I had it then cut by 50% for a different room.
Mm-hmm. And here's another thought. If you find a color in one paint brand, but you want to buy it in a different paint brand, there is a website, and I will find it before this goes live, where you can put in the one and it will tell you which color to buy in another brand. So it's like Sherwin-Williams, Benjamin Moore, and I think there's several others.
Oh, wow. See, I never knew that they actually it's a color to color match, but it's just a different name. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So one thing I want to clarify, when I said I had it cut by 50%, I mean, they added 50% of white to it to sort of lighten the pigmentation of the color that I really liked at my other house. So I had it sort of bolder and more saturated in one room and less so because it was cut by white in the other one. Now, what Anita's saying is interesting to me because if it's a small job, I'll do it myself. But if it's a big job, I have my painter, Victor, will come with his guys. And I always say, Victor, this color I want. And 9 times out of 10, I'm picking Benjamin Moore. I just like their colors, and that's just my go-to. And sometimes he asks me, oh, can I get it done in Edwards, which is a paint brand that I think it's mostly in California. I don't know if it's in other parts of the country, but that's kind of a local paint store here because we don't have a local Benjamin Moore. And so he'll get the Benjamin Moore color. He'll just take the color to them and they color match it.
Right. Well, you can do that as well, but there is an online source, or at least last time I checked, where it will convert it for you.
Wow.
Yeah. And and to be honest, I prefer having a specific color rather than saying cut this, add that, because then sometimes the formula is lost. And when you try to get more paint later, it's harder to get a close match. And I'm sure
that's absolutely right.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there is variation in the process. So if you get some paint today and then go back and get the same exact paint color a year later, it's probably going to be slightly different, and you might not even know it unless you're touching up your wall. It's going to be a little different.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. Just like anything, wallpaper, something like that. You order it and it's a certain dye lot or fabric, and then it's just not anymore. Just to clarify what the sample is, I went back to my order. And yeah, they do charge you shipping. Okay. So it's $5.95 plus the shipping. So I don't know where they're coming from, but to me in California, it's $4. So it's almost the price of the thing. But hey, for $9 or something, I'm getting this big sample that I can play with, and it will save me a lot of headaches. Like, what if I just don't even like it? I'm entranced with this Metropolitan color, but I might not like it. Or I might not like it there, and I could peel it off and I'll go try it someplace else if I really want to do the color. So I think, how much more could they charge? $5, for shipping, no matter where you live. So
yeah, let us know how it works.
Oh, of course I will. And another thing that will let you know how it works before we go on to, are we done with this? I should ask you first.
I think so.
I think so too. So before we slide onto our crushes, if you guys listen to us regularly, we just heard back from Julie. Now, if you listen to the last episode, we talked about Julie doing this wonderful thing about framing her silverware, and we just loved it. And she gave us that tip about making that great DIY. So she just responded, "Aw, thank you," because I told her we were going to talk about it. I used clear Gorilla double-sided tape, cut very, very small. It holds up to 15 pounds and it doesn't peel the paint. So she must have stuck it right on the wall.
Well, that's what that sounds like. If she's mentioning paint, she must put it right on the wall. Wow.
I didn't know Gorilla made double-sided tape.
Well, I guess, yeah, I guess they do. That's very interesting.
That's good to know for dorm rooms too.
I learn something every time we record.
Me too. I really do. I'm always like checking those show notes when Anita puts in her links. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to go do that.
I know you have some stuff coming up that we've recorded that hasn't come out yet that I'm waiting for those links to go buy a few things.
Oh, okay.
Seriously, yes.
That's so funny. Okay, so today our crushes are, you want to go first?
I will. I've been on this health kick. Well, I mean, I've been on it for years
quite a
and years
while.
and years.
It's a lifestyle.
We've been doing this for a long time, but I'm constantly learning. And one of the things, I mean, I was kind of thinking this, but I hadn't heard a lot of talk about it. But all sparkling water is not equal. You probably know that. Some of it's just kind of water that's been carbonated, whereas other water is mineral water, full of these minerals that your body needs, kind of bottled at the source. So the water's spring water, and that's not the same thing as city water that somebody just pumped some carbonation into.
Uh-huh.
And so I've been listening to some podcasts about some really the healthier sparkling waters. And the one that was recommended was Gerolsteiner. Do you know that one? Or Gerolsteiner?
It sounds like a German beer.
It is. Well, it's German, but it's not beer. It's a German sparkling mineral water bottled at the source. And it's very high in minerals. So it's got all that good stuff that your body needs: magnesium, calcium, potassium, chloride, and several others. Oh. So, So this is kind of, so if you're wanting something that tastes really good and is good for you, then I think this would not an expert, but based on what I've heard, this is something I've been drinking, and it's delicious. I just put a little spritz of lime in it and I'm good to go.
Oh, that sounds nice. Yeah, you have to really be careful with the beverages. I mean, so many of them, obviously not a sparkling water, pure water, but so many of them just packed with so much sugar. And, you have something like that there. So I'm always surprised that the giant aisle at the grocery store of like all those different kinds of drinks, and it's just so many of them are just filled with sugar. You might as well just have a Pepsi. I mean, it's not good for you. So it's good to know, sort of curating that universe too of what's out
so
there.
If you have a soda addiction, you're trying to get off, this would be a nice healthy alternative. But there's no sugar in it, obviously. So, if you're used to the sweet, it's not going to be sweet. But once you get used to it, I love it. I love it without the sugar in it. Oh,
I can't drink anything with sugar.
I don't like it.
Okay, so mine is totally different. I went a little crazy about a week or two ago at Sephora.
What did you do? Oh,
okay, because my girls love I want to get a different eyeshadow palette, and everybody sort of seemed to in conjunction with the back to school shopping. Oh, can we go to Sephora? And I'm looking at my stuff, and I'm like trying to get. I still love that Hourglass mascara that we had as a sponsor. So I'm like trying to get, the last bits of that out. And I think I had like a sample from Clinique from like 5 years ago with eyeshadow. And you were talking about foundation the other day. I'm like, I don't use that. Maybe I should use that. I don't use any of that stuff. And I thought maybe I should just like be a big girl and up my game a little bit as far as what I have in my makeup bag. So I went in there and I spoke to a very nice girl, and I told her, this is kind of what I'm interested in. And I'm feeling I need a little something around my eyes. I'm feeling a little puffy if I don't get a good night's sleep and whatnot. And she's brought me right over to this particular product, and I love it.
Oh,
right. So I did end up buying some nice eyeshadow and whatnot. But this, she said, if this is, if you're feeling a little puffy once in a while, and I've been flying a lot, and I always feel puffy when I fly. And I just love, I love the goat's milk and rosemary eye depuffer.
Yes, I finally bought that.
Yes,
we need to link to that
Kate Somerville.
One too.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's so sort of energizing because it has the rosemary in it. You might not want to even put it on to go to sleep. It really kind of perks you up. So this one is more for evening, but you can use it for day. Anyway, it's called Sunday Riley, which I had never heard of this brand before.
So does it do the same thing that the other one does?
It's a different sort of thing. It's more for like, it's a depuffing eye contour cream, where the other one I think is it does depuff, but it just kind of, it's all about like the sensory, like feeling really good. am sort of making it feel
Yeah,
like
the other
more
one is
awake.
it's kind of a cooling effect.
Yeah, it's a cooling effect with that, with
Mm-hmm.
the goat's milk and the rosemary. So this one has horse chestnut and all kinds of good stuff in there. And I've been using it for about 2 weeks now. I find that it's really working.
Oh, to depuff.
It's a depuffer. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Now,
I wonder if I double depuffed. I use both.
I sometimes double depuff because I'll have the Kate Somerville one. I just kind of throw it in my bag and I'll be like, oh, it feels good during the day. It's almost like putting in like eye drops. It has that relieving feel. I mean, you don't put it in your eye, please. You do not put it. Don't try this at home and don't put it in your eye. Mm-hmm. But anyway, back to this product. It's called Sunday Riley Autocorrect Brightening and Depuffing Eye Contour Cream.
Nice. Now, does it add a little color as well?
No. No, it's a cream.
Okay.
It's just a cream. It's not a concealer or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And you can use it at night. You can use it under makeup. I've been using it mostly at night, and then I put it over makeup. It just kind of fades away. But anyway, if you go on and check it out, I'll put the link in the show notes here. The reviews are very mixed. I wanted to check them before I told you guys about it because, I'm just one person. It's my experience with it. So obviously people either love it or they're like, this doesn't work. So it's not cheap. Maybe you want to get a sample of it. They have some smaller samples, but I found that it's really working. It feels nice. I feel more awake.
Well, the other one feels great puffy. Too. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm
all about depuffing.
Yeah. I know. Because I buy a lot of the stuff that you recommend.
Well, so far so good, right?
Yes. I haven't found any clinkers yet because you've pre-tested them for me.
Yeah. So that I really like that. It's nice packaging, and I'd never heard of Sunday Riley. I would never have picked this off the shelf. So normally, if I go into a store, I don't really want to talk to the people that work there. I just I'm the kind of person who knows what they want, and I'm just going to go get it. But yeah, I was just sort of kind of open to the Sephora universe the other day, and this is where it led me, and I'm very happy.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, because, I flew to Orlando, then I flew to my parents, then I flew home, then I flew to Boston, I flew back, and we flew to London, and we flew to Paris, we flew home from Paris, and then I'm going to fly again in October. So the flying is not good for me.
Is that what? Yeah, I don't know. Because I had some bad puffy eye this summer, and I'm thinking, what is this from?
And allergies too, all kinds of things. Not sleeping 100%, or
I thought maybe it was from some wine, but whatever.
Oh, I'm in denial about that. So I'm going to pretend you didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to keep buying more of this stuff.
Okay,
and buying
I'm sure it
wine
had nothing to do with wine.
Yes. Okay, and our question today is a 3-parter. I think that all of them are distinct, and sort of straightforward questions. It's from Amy M.
Hi, Amy.
Yeah, Amy's been a long-time listener. We email a lot. She lives here in California too. So Amy's got this Waterford clear crystal lamp base. So you're picturing it sort of tall. And then the actual bottom of it, so the base of the base, if you will, is brass. But she said it's got, so over time became pitted, and she doesn't like it's kind of that shiny kind of goldish brass, and she's not really into that right now. Does she dare paint it or do something to it? And then we have a flooring question.
Well, let's do one at a time.
So let's address this lamp. What do you think?
Well, Amy, I'm a little concerned about the pitting because, even if you paint it, it's still going to be kind of lumpy. So, I don't know. I mean, my tendency would be to pass it on to someone else. But if you wanted to save it, I think I might try sanding it down somewhat first to see if you could get it smooth. Because if you're going to paint it, and I don't know, metal, I don't know, you can say what you think, but you want a very smooth finish if you're painting metal. I don't know if you can get that with a spray paint. Do you think you can?
I can.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I don't use you're the spray paint.
I'm the spray paint queen. But no, I would actually say, I think that's an excellent point about the pitting. So Amy, if it is a raised pitting situation, then if you run your finger over it and you feel it's bumpy, then I would take some steel wool to that and try to get that as flat as possible. And if, you know how I love spray paint, but
Yes, I
you'd,
do.
you'd have to really protect the crystal part. And
Yeah.
here you're dealing with crystal. And like normally if I'm spray painting something and I don't want to get a hinge, something, I'll put tape on it and you just kind of, seal it off as best you can. But that's kind of hard to do with crystal. So I might suggest to you that you do just a small brush and you hand paint it. It's just a little bit of a thing anyway.
True.
It's maybe, what could it be? 8 inches in diameter and only doing the edges anyway. So maybe I would suggest hand painting that. And if you're able to get the pitting flat enough, or if it isn't raised, I would still sort of suggest a matte, because if you do a shiny paint, it's going to accentuate any of the bumps.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm kind of picturing, like, what if she did it in my favorite matte black? And then you've got the crystal, which I'm kind of picturing probably it's not just clear. It probably, if it's Waterford, right? Waterford always has some sort of design in it, doesn't it?
Yes, of course.
It's not just like glass. And then what if you did it with a burlap drum shade with maybe a black rose grain trim on the bottom? Or
what about your
top
lampshade with those nail head trim on it?
Oh yeah, that one from Walmart. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, I had an old antique hand-painted Italian lamp here recently that was blue and gold and other colors. It's a floor lamp that I got at the thrift store for nothing. And I just replaced the lamp with, actually we're on our third lamp shade now. I replaced it with a huge burlap one that I got at, the hardware store, basically.
Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about. Visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants.
Yeah, I think that might look good. And I love that juxtaposition of the crystal with the burlap. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, what about if you're doing the base black, you might even try a black shade and see if that goes.
Yeah, and that would be very elegant and even more of a modern look too.
Yeah, so you can always try it. I guess at this point, what could go wrong? I mean, if you don't like the way it looks
Right.
now,
Right. And you can
then
also do a metallic paint. And, maybe if you don't want that shiny, we all know that brass. We can all picture it in our mind. If you don't want
yes.
that brass, then maybe you do an antique brass, or you could do even a silver.
There is actually some antiquing gel that you can put on brass to make it darker. So that's an option too.
Oh,
so you
yeah,
might look
like
for
almost
that.
like dipping it.
Well, it's like it's almost like a rouge pot. It's kind of like I guess kind of like a gel or something.
Okay. And then Amy has a question about, congratulations, Amy. They're under contract in the house that they're selling, and they're moving to another house. And so they're looking at other houses. And so I think that this is why this question's coming up. What do we feel about having the same flooring throughout the house?
I love it. I love having the same flooring throughout the house. And in our house, it is exactly the same throughout the lower floor. And it's the same on the upper floor, on the, upstairs, except for the bathrooms that are wet areas. Obviously, I did tile in there in the laundry room as well. But I think it really has a unifying effect. So I think it's a great look if you can do it.
I 100% agree, and my house is the same. We have the same wood flooring on both levels. If you can't do it, Amy, and if this question is coming from a place of, gee, we're looking at a house and it doesn't have that, if you could do it, that would be great. If you can't do it, if there are distinct areas, like say the kitchen is tiled or something like that, and then there's wood flooring, maybe if there's wood flooring in other rooms and the stain is different, or, sometimes people replace one floor, but they don't replace the next one. Even if you were able to sand them down and have them stained all the same color, even if it's a little bit different grain of wood, it would still have that unifying effect, I think. So I would strive for that. If you can do it, I think it gives you really nice flow through your house. And then the last one is a really simple question, and it was directed to me. Am I still a fan of Simply White? Yes, I am a strong fan of Simply White. So that made sense with our painting episode today. So I think we got a lot of good info. I hope we gave you guys some more confidence in doing this, because I don't think there's a person who's interested in decorating that at some point or many points in their lives are faced with choosing paint colors.
Well, and we know the pain of making mistakes. I have made my share of paint mistakes, and I'm sure I'll do it again. It's hard. It's hard to get it exactly right. It's not unusual for there to be some regrets, but the more prep work you do up front, usually the happier you're going to be with your paint for the long run. So, so I think it's well worth the time spent doing some research. And it was so fun hanging out with you, Kelly, and everyone listening. So remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space. We are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.